Welcome to this video, which has been created for the ADHD Foundation Neurodiversity Charity. This video has been produced to provide information and support to people interested in or affected by tics and tic disorders like Tourette syndrome. There are many misunderstandings about Tourette syndrome, when we probably all have a view about what tics are and what Tourette syndrome is. And as I begin to explain more about this, you might start to recognise tics, maybe in yourself or your children, or in friends, family members or colleagues. And that's fine. Lots of people live with tics. They're everywhere as soon as you are able to start recognising them. Some of the misunderstandings about Tourette syndrome is that it's all about swearing or saying obscenities, or that it's very severe, or that it's rare, or that it's people just behaving badly and saying what they want. In fact, swearing or coprolalia tic only occurs in about 15 to 20% of people with Tourette syndrome. It's probably from media and television that we get the idea that Tourette syndrome is all about swearing, when in fact it's not. Having a tic doesn't mean that you have Tourette's, and researchers suggest that Tourette syndrome has the same prevalence as autism at 1%. So that's 1 in 100 school children. So it's far more common than we might first have thought. We know that Tourette syndrome affects more males than females, so about 3 or 4 boys to 1 girl. And it's neurological and involuntary, so people are not just saying what's in their heads. What it does do is that it interferes with the major domains in people's lives: school, work and social relationships, for both children and adults. So tics are very common, and there are very many different types of tics. They're often misunderstood, and some are barely noticeable, like sniffing or blinking, which can be subtle. But other tics can be quite distressing and cause social isolation, embarrassment, stigma, low self-esteem and pain. But people with Tourette syndrome have the potential to lead rich and fulfilling lives. So let's take a closer look at tics. What are they and what are the signs and symptoms? So tics are sudden, rapid, recurrent motor, movement or vocalizations. So motor tics are movements and vocal tics are noises. They can be simple or complex. And tics wax and wane, so they come and go in terms of frequency and intensity. They can increase during times of stress, but also with positive stress and excitement, such as birthdays or holidays. So tics are often accompanied by something called a premonitory urge, and this is a sensation, a physical sensation which occurs before the tic actually happens. And this is often described as a really unpleasant feeling in the body building up before a tic comes along and provides some relief from that unpleasant urge. Tics are also regarded as involuntary. There may be some control, so some people might be able to control their tics for some of the time, but they certainly can't keep them all in all of the time. We also know that tics are suggestible. So for example, we might see, if we have tics ourselves, we might see somebody else having tics and therefore pick up their tics for a short while. We've often seen this where people come together in support groups, for example, and people might have some new tics for a short while after the social support group, but those tics usually fade away after a short while. Or if someone is watching a video of other people ticking, say on social media, then they might find that their own tics increase during or for a short while afterwards. Some more information about tics is that they can occur in any part of the body. They can occur during sleep, and tics are fairly common in childhood and often appear around 5 to 7 years of age. Tics are not normally serious and usually improve over time, but they can be frustrating and interfere with everyday activities. And depending on what types of tics and how long the tics occur for, whether it's months or years, this will play a part as to whether somebody gets a diagnosis of a tic disorder. Simple motor tics include things like eye blinking, eye rolling, nose or mouth movements, head jerks, shoulder shrugs, arm or limb movements, as well as abdominal tensing and toe crunching. Complex motor tics involve more muscle groups, and they can be larger movements, head shaking, squatting, jumping. Vocal tics are often fast, meaningless sounds such as coughing, throat clearing, sniffing, whistling or animal noises. And complex vocal tics are where language, words or sentences are said, and this is where coprolalia, the swearing tic, comes in. Also, there can be echolalia, repeating what others have said, or palilalia, repeating your own words. So if 1 in 100 school children have Tourette syndrome, then along with common childhood tics, transient tics and chronic tics, if we add all of those together, then there are many more tics around than we might first have thought. And although today we're talking about Tourette syndrome, the same can be applied to all tics and tic disorders, especially as the clinical pathways and treatment are exactly the same in terms of medications and behavioural therapy that might be offered.